Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. I'm Taylor Gonzalez, and my guest today is the head of the makeup department, a special effects coordinator, and co-writer of The Death of Snow White. I'm so excited to welcome Naomi Mechem-Miller. Naomi, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Very excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. It's good to be reunited. I can't believe I was just telling Jason the other day, it's been over a month since the premiere.
That is crazy.
Isn't
Wow.
it nuts?
Yeah, time flies so fast.
Oh my gosh, it really does. Of all of the titles that I just listed, all the different roles that you played in bringing this film to life, do you have a favorite?
I mean, my heart and soul will always be with the makeup and effects. That's kind of I always say blood and gore is my bread and butter.
Ooh,
Um,
that's a good phrase.
yeah, that's always kind of my favorite thing to do. But I mean, with this one, I really got to explore a lot of other roles and departments that I've never really worked in before. So this was my first time really writing something like this. Um, and Jason, of course, is a fantastic writer, so we did all of that together. But that was really fun to kind of get into the writing world a little bit. The producing world, I've never done that to this extent, so it was actually really fun to produce, even though it's very stressful, a lot of hard work, but it's one of those things where you go, wow, that was a nightmare. I want to do it again.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's
And same with
awesome.
like wardrobe, props, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would love to do what you did and just, get my hands in as many different fields as possible just to learn as much as you possibly can. Because then on the next film, you have, the experience that you learned from this one. I just think that's totally awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
When and how did you discover your love of makeup and special effects?
Ooh, that's a funny story, actually. My entire childhood, I was a very anxious child. I guess I'm still a very anxious adult, but I used to faint at one drop of blood. Like I could not do blood, gore, horror, even thrillers were like a little much for me. I remember I watched Young Frankenstein when I was like 7 or 8, and I had nightmares for 2 weeks because I didn't understand it was, a comedy. Um, but when I was in kind of middle school and high school, I started playing around with beauty makeup. I have a disorder called trichotillomania, which is where you pull out your hair. And so that was kind of my catalyst to like, okay, well, let me play with makeup to hide this. And it turned into really a passion. And, so I was experimenting with beauty makeup, doing all that stuff on myself, my friends. Um, and when I was, I think, 16, I had a family friend take me behind the scenes on a Nordstrom photo shoot because their headquarters are in Seattle. He was friends with the photographer, and I got to, meet the makeup artist, talk to her, kind of ask her questions about the industry. And that was the first time that I was like, okay, this is actually kind of could be a career for me, not just a hobby. So I started looking into makeup school, and once I got there during the effects portion of school, that was when I really like fully fell in love with it and kind of really dived into it. For a long time, I thought that I wanted to do kind of fashion, editorial, runway, that type of makeup. But once I got there in that section of class, I was like, okay, this is where I'm at. And my love of horror and thriller and those types of genres have kind of grown hand in hand with makeup, which I think is really fun. So it's very, very linked together for me.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. How are you now when it comes to fake blood and gore? Having worked with it, are you better now when you see it, on screen?
Yes, definitely. I've gotten to the place where, over the years, I've done enough with like the art of it and the
Mm,
craft that now I can kind of look at it and say, oh, okay, that's cool. How did they do that? Or,
yep.
oh, that's beautiful. That looks so realistic, So I'm all good with that. And I've even gotten to the place where I can, if I'm in the right mood, like the right mindset, I can look at some real reference images occasionally. Still difficult sometimes, but yeah, I've totally outgrown that.
Okay, I would never be able to look at real photos for reference. I would, oof.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
little
know.
much.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can watch, really gory and bloody movies and be totally fine. But like if I have to get my blood drawn or anything like that, I pass out. It's crazy. I have 15 tattoos, but I still am like terrified of needles. So it's like I
Me
could never do
too.
like the real stuff.
Yeah, needles are still like my one thing that I'm.
Yeah. Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
got some. Ooh.
Yeah. No way.
It's really interesting. We actually filmed at a real morgue a couple years ago
Oh,
for a different project, Friday the 13th Vengeance 2 Bloodlines.
oh yeah.
And we were talking to the staff there because they played our extras in the morgue, just kind of doing their own jobs. Um, and they were super freaked out by the special effects stuff. They were like, "Oh my God, I can't watch horror movies. I can't do the fake blood, fake gore. It's so gross. It creeps me out." We're like, "You look at this stuff all day, like you literally do autopsies.
Yeah.
You like, what do you mean?" And for them, it's very much a similar disconnect where they can look at the real stuff and go, "Okay, this is clinical, this is medical, it's scientific," and have that disconnect. But with the fake stuff, it creeps them out,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy.
right?
I can't even wrap my head around that. But when you do see other films, are you able to easily figure out like, oh, this is the type of, prosthetic they're using, this is how they crafted this scene, or do you still kind of wonder? I feel like it's kind of like a magic trick. When you're a magician, you're able to kind of like, oh, I know how they're doing this trick. Is it kind of like that with prosthetics?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it definitely depends on the movie and on the effect.
Mm,
There are some things that just because we've seen it a lot, we do this, we build these things, so we can
yeah.
go, oh yeah, okay, that's a fake body, or look at that, I think that's foam latex instead of silicone, or little things like that. But there's definitely still stuff that I'm like, wow, how did they do that? Like it's um, in The Substance, for example, there's that scene with Margaret Qualley where she has a full chest prosthetic, fake boobs, fit everything. It's all prosthetic, and I had no idea until I heard afterwards. So there's still stuff like that that's just mind blowing.
Yeah, no, The Substance, one of my favorite movies of last year. On YouTube, I don't know if this is what you're referencing, but on YouTube, there's a whole behind the scenes thing of all the different prosthetics and the blood cannon and all that stuff. It's
Yeah,
so cool to see how they did this, and it's just like I love it. I think it's so fun.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, if you're interested in effects at all for anyone watching, go watch that video. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
highly recommend it. Um, you mentioned Young Frankenstein. Are there other films when you were growing up that inspired you to get into this line of work?
Um, A little bit, I guess. I was an anime kid. I have my Sailor Moon Fight Like a
Oh,
Girl tattoo. So Sailor Moon was always one of my favorites, and I really grew up on Studio Ghibli movies.
ooh,
That was kind of I mean, also Disney, of course, but that was kind of hand in hand with Disney for me. Princess Mononoke, Nausicaa, Spirited Away, all of them I just love very deeply. And I think that those, even though they are animated, have a lot of dark themes and a lot of, there is some blood in some of them, some scary creatures, stuff like that. I think that probably is what kind of started to draw me over to the dark side. And
oh,
of
how
course,
fun.
things like, Doctor Who, Supernatural. I watched all that kind of stuff when I was growing up too.
Oh, very nice. Um, the Death of Snow White has a lot of really fun prosthetics and makeup and practical effects. Out of all of the ones that you did, which one was the hardest to pull together?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I have two slightly different answers for that. The one that was the most work to build and the kind of the biggest piece was without spoiling anything, it's our kind of big showstopper moment at the end. Huge effect. You'll if you watch the movie, you'll know it when you see it. That one I think was kind of one of the big builds that took the most time and energy and kind of figuring out the engineering of it. Um, but in terms of a sequence, I would say while we were actually filming, that scene where the dwarves are first introduced, they come out and they fight the huntsman, and it's this whole like gory battle. Um, that was probably one of the most difficult effects sequences that we
Oh, wow.
did, just because it was a little bit chaotic. We were in this, small forest. We have two cameras going, two units. It's me, and I think that day I had like six makeup artists, so it wasn't the full team, but still a decent amount. And we were literally spread out. We had the stunt team practicing in one corner. We had someone shooting something in this corner. We were setting up in another corner. We were, running lights over there. And there were even times where we were shooting two different effects at the same time without sound. So that one was very challenging, but really fun. And I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, it's such a fun film. I can't wait for people to see this in theaters. My favorite way to experience films, just on the big screen with the crowd. And like I've mentioned in previous interviews with the cast and everyone who's worked on the film, it was so fun getting to see it in a theater and hearing people react to the different kills and to the different jokes, and just such a fun theatrical experience.
Yeah, that's always my favorite part. I mean, I've just sitting in that theater and having all of our like closest friends and family, all of, our cast and crew, these people that we love dearly, seeing this for the first time and feeling the emotion of it and, loving their own performances, loving their friends' performances, reacting to the blood. Like that's just a completely magical feeling that I don't think will ever happen the same way again.
Without spoiling anything, there is a quick glimpse in one of the trailers where the evil queen has some leeches, and I loved that scene. Can you talk a little bit about how you put that scene together?
Yeah. So the Evil Queen, we did a lot of research on these kind of barbaric beauty practices. So, we took a lot of inspiration from the stories about Queen Bathory, with her bloodbath. And leeches are, of course, when weird, gross, creepy beauty practices come to mind, leeches are the first thing I think of. I love animals, I love creepy crawlies, but leeches not a fan.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the most kind of icky things that we could think about. And really powerful too, having her in the bathtub in this vulnerable position, covered in these leeches sucking out her blood and all this stuff. She still has the energy and the presence and the power to order people around and get angry and so it was really kind of a combination of character and effects in there.
Such a cool scene. It's crazy. Growing up, I was like terrified of leeches, but I have yet to come across any. I don't want to jinx it. Like, I don't know. For some reason, growing up, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to deal with leeches, but I haven't had to.
Right.
So fingers
Yeah.
crossed things stay this way. But now that I put this out there, I'm a
I'm
little bit
manifesting.
scared.
No
Gonna drop
leeches
from
in
the
your
ceiling.
life.
Yeah, no leeches for me.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the scenes that were the most difficult to pull off, but do you have a favorite, whether it's a character moment or a reveal or a kill?
That's so hard. I mean, I know I'm very biased,
Hmm.
but this is like my favorite movie of all time. We've watched it. It's been actually about a month since we've watched the movie, which is crazy. Because for about 6 months before that, we watched it every single day, multiple times a day, and we would never get tired of it, which was really fun. But I think I just have so many. I just love every second of it. I know that's such a cop-out answer, but
No, it's good. It's perfect. That's a great answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I'll say some of my favorite moments in the film are with Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm,
Okay. Yeah.
the prince's friends. Just we had so much fun writing for them, and Milo Mechem-Miller, who plays Wilhelm, is my little brother. So
Oh.
it was just so fantastic to not only write a role for him, but then see him bring it to life and just kill it and be so fantastic. The two of them are everyone's favorite characters. So
Oh
that was
yeah.
also one of my favorite
Oh,
moments.
that's so cool. I didn't know that was your little brother. Yeah, they were both great in the film. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
If there's someone who's watching this interview right now and they themselves are interested in getting into special effects and makeup, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I say just do it. Start, get some random supplies, whether it's makeup that you already own. You can do a lot of cool stuff with eyeshadow and lipstick and, stuff that you may already have in your bathroom. Um, experiment with things like toilet paper and cotton balls and Q-tips, stuff that you don't have to invest a lot of money in. That's where I started, doing stuff like that. The more you practice, the better you'll get, and the more fun you'll have. And then also just go on YouTube, watch stuff. When I was in high school, I would literally come home from school every single day and watch makeup tutorials. It was entertainment and learning at the same time. So, you know, hang out with your friends, do some gross stuff on them, and just have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect advice. If people are curious about other upcoming projects you have and they want to check out your portfolio and stuff like that, where would be a good place for people to come and visit?
Yeah, I have you can follow us on Real Fiction Studios FX on both Facebook and Instagram. And then my personal pages are just Naomi Mechem-Miller on Facebook. And then Instagram, I'm green.ghoul.gal. That's kind of my combination personal and professional page. And then, of course, you can go to realfictionstudios.com, see all of our other upcoming projects, our other special effects stuff. And of course, go to thedeathofsnowwhite.com and sign up for the mailing list to get updates about show times and all that fun stuff.
Yes, sounds perfect. I'll put links in the description of this video so everyone can come follow you and check out what you're up to. But Naomi, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to be here today. And everyone be sure to check out The Death of Snow White when it releases in theaters in just a couple weeks. Thank you,
Awesome. Thank
Naomi.
you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Bye.